Hello, everybody. Welcome to Now That's Love from your favorite mother daughter duo. My name is Ashlyn LaFleur, and this is my mama.
Janae LaFleur.
And we are doing this season on the Dark Night of the Mind from episode 1 to episode 2, and now we are on number 3. And like we talked about in our previous episode, we are going to go into mind techniques that my mama Sita, went through during her narcissistic abuse. And then afterwards, these amazing divine techniques that came to her afterwards of how to heal afterwards and go through the process. So she's going to share one of her mind techniques that got her through this.
All right. We are going to go to from the video and talking about when I was at the bridge and at the rock bottom and found the YouTube video. I was shown as I was driving home to visualize this person, this just a man, anybody. So you can pick anybody if this is a relationship that you're getting out of or wanting to get out of and need to get out of. But your mind is just like, it feels like your mind has the power over you. Like the thoughts just are coming in and you feel like you're losing it. And so one of the things I was shown that every time that person showed up in my mind of the conversations and the incessant thoughts, to instantly stop it and think of that person walking up to the new person. We'll just use Peter Crone again. Peter Crone. Peter Crone came up
If
to
you're
me, a
watching this,
safe
Peter Crone,
person,
hello.
a safe, right, a very safe and secure person, and just putting his arms around me. It could be Jesus, it could be anybody, like your whatever, wherever
Your
you're at,
safety blanket.
your safety, and it kissed me on the forehead and said, "Everything is okay. You're safe. Everything." I mean, you're just, and it just, this feeling would come over me, and I did it repeatedly, but before you know it, it was slowing down and then stopping the incessant mind thoughts of the conversation I was having in my head with the narcissistic situations and just things from my past. I felt like one of the first steps I was shown to step out of my mind of having all of these different past situations with certain individuals and to create in the future and in the present moment someone wonderful, someone peaceful, someone kind, someone that is very respectful and just loving, right? So that was one of my first things that I was shown, and it works amazingly. So if you're having this, you just left the relationship, or it's been even 5 years later and things are coming in, and maybe, I mean, some people decide that they're never going to date again, men and women, but you can heal. Don't give that person that much credit to take away the rest of your life of not feeling love and just to stay safe. That's
Then they end up
what I was
winning, giving
shown.
them that much
Right.
power.
They're on to number 50. I'm just kidding. But just, I just kept on being shown, open my heart fully to give and receive love now.
Mm.
And it's with a safe person, it's with someone kind. And yeah, he's still in his masculine energy, of course, but I mean, that's my story. But there I go. Number 2, mind freedom technique that I was shown that was pretty fast that came in and it was probably 2 or 3 weeks from after leaving the situation. I was up here, and I love horses. I love nature and I love horses.
Spirits.
I used to ride
Favorite
horses,
movie.
so, yeah. So that I was shown in my head was, my eyes were closed, and so you can close your eyes if you want to right now. From behind me, there were a whole bunch of horses. It was like in my mind. So there's a whole bunch of stories in my mind, but they were horses. And I wanted to keep the horses in there that were serving me, were very beneficial. But the stories that were coming in that were taking me out emotionally, I already kind of think I walked through this. This is the 100th time this dang story. Like, I don't know if you've ever had that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I was shown the horse came down, and it was right by me and standing next to me. And in the beginning, it was a black stallion. It was this big, huge horse, like Clydesdale. And I was so like scared of it. I mean, this vision that was shown, and it come up to me, and I was like, oh, here's a far away, here's a freaking carrot. And but it kind of looked at me, it was happy with the carrot, and then I told it could go down into the pasture, that it was free. And so it clomped down into this like Man from Snowy River pasture way far away from me, and I could see it way far from a distance. And that's what I was shown. Well, and I was shown to be consistent with it. Like every time this story comes into your head, this thought process that really is not in your present moment and doesn't need to be worked through. It's so before you know it, it was like a day, I noticed one thing this brings on is awareness of your thoughts. So
Yes.
you're like, oh my gosh, it's been 500 times I've thought about this. Like, you start to realize how much you're just like playing in the past. And then the next day
victim
was
mindset.
Like, right. The next day was like maybe 50 times. And the next day was like hardly any times. But what happened that was so significant with me, like being very aware, was all of a sudden I had like a little flippin' pony that's like, like a little pink pony. Here comes Rainbow Brights unicorn.
Little pony.
It just didn't have the same energy. The story had lost its significance of emotion to it. Yeah, the story, it's not like I'm trying to delete the story. It just, there was no emotional value to it. My mind's like, well, this isn't important for her to remember. So then it really was gone. I wasn't trying to resist it. I was just transforming it over into a horse, like really. And I shared that with clients and different people, and man, did this just like do wonders on what they had going on in their lives. They're like, oh my gosh. I mean, I'd get little phone calls or little messages. Oh, and the horse was active today, you know. And then the next day, like, Janae, it really works. And I'm like, well, these are the things that were given to me as just very special visions, techniques for myself. I always was saying, thank you, God, for showing me the truth. Thank you, the divine, for showing me the truth in all things. And I was doing this even when I was down in San Antonio in the very beginning. And I was shown the truth over and over and over again. People out of the blue were coming up and telling me certain things. So my spirit was working for me all the time. And my intuition was like, this is not right. I was writing things down, journaling. But as far as mind freedom techniques, these were just the two that I wanted to share that were from the beginning that helped. And there's so many more. I know, like, I just even had one yesterday as I was working with a client come to me. So I'm going to keep on sharing on here the beautifulness. I have them written down in a book. So
there's so many we want to share. That's why we're here. It's like each time we're on here, it's like, oh my goodness, another thing that we need to share. I'd also like to add too to that whenever you picture the horse in the corral, your thoughts don't seem so deep. You're not guilty for thinking about it, because I think a lot of times whenever I would have these thoughts, like either negative thoughts about somebody or just replaying a story in my head of something that happened, first of all, it's your side of the tree that you saw. You don't see their side of the tree. You might look at a tree and you're like, oh my goodness, that's a beautiful tree. All the leaves are green and there's a pretty bird in it. And then someone else might look at it and be like, ew, you see that one dead leaf on that tree? That's disgusting. I hate that tree.
Which we all have those times in our life.
Yes, and we all have those negative thoughts. But instead of focusing so much on feeling guilty about feeling certain emotions of that story, you're looking at it as like, oh, look, it's just a little pony now. Oh, I'm just going to turn these emotions into something tiny. And it just, as soon as you know it, it's going to be a freaking little, like, you know what? It's kind of funny that you're saying this, because let me get up real quick. My son just put this on the table. As soon as you know it, these emotions are going to be like this. If you're watching this right now, I'm holding up, it's a bullseye from Toy Story. As soon as you know it, your emotions are going to be this big, and it's going to be a toy that you can throw in the trash, and you're like, goodbye.
Well, that's so perfect. Like, bring it down. It's so true, because we just become the awareness. Our spirit essence is the awareness of our thoughts. And when you're coming out of something really big and you're retraining your brain, we do go here. Like
Yeah,
the
it's
bullseye,
real.
it's, yeah, it seems so real and like the truth of all things, but it's just from what we've come from, like our story of our whole history. And we just have to
Hmm.
really sit in it and say, you know, is this really true? And why? Ash and I've talked about this. I remember the moment that when I was reading Eckhart Tolle's book, and
Hmm.
I sat there and thought, oh my gosh, I think I've lived 90% of my life in the past and the future. I'm like, maybe 95%.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, if I really lived in the present moment.
Even while you're reading the book, you're
I
not
mean,
living in the
even,
present moment because you're focusing on Jill, Tom, and Sally in the beginning of the book. We're gonna
oh,
we'll put the link below for the book. You guys have to read it, but
it's awesome.
you start like in the chapter, you start thinking about other people, or you start thinking about past thoughts, or you may even kind of replay in your head, start feeling guilty inside, like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible human being, I've never lived in the present moment. But then
The
afterwards it's
criticism of
just
that.
like, oh my gosh, I'm not even living in the present moment because I'm being guilty about the past moment. And or living in the future because you're trying to train your brain to be so in the present moment that all of a sudden you're like, shoo, Buzz Lightyear all the way over to like another dimension that you're wanting to live in. And you're just like, oh, I just need to be present the whole time.
Well, now there's an adjustment there on our brains too, because this is the present moment. It doesn't mean in the present moment we don't think about things of the past. It's just being aware that we're there. How we're wanting to show you how we have gone from this to thriving. And we're still, like Ash and I talk about it, like we're still on, we'll forever be on our journey. I love this journey.
No, we're learning every single day. It's like I'll call her up even just yesterday, and we're just like, oh my goodness, I learned about this today. And even with our first video that we posted, it's like we had to come to the fact that we're not going to be perfect. We're going through
Oh,
this because we know our purpose in this, and that's why we're here to share it.
yeah, it's so deeply on our hearts, just from our hearts of love to be here. So, anyways, we just want to share little clips because we want you to have ideas if you're on this journey of doing the walk of the dark night of the mind soul, or if you're
Mm-hmm.
having over incessant thoughts, overthinking. These are just some helpful tips for you, and we're just going to keep them short. So it's like on the drive to work, or
Yes.
you're
And
just
test it out and let
cleaning
us
the house.
know how it works for you guys. We love
Yes,
hearing back from y'all, and share this. Share this with as many people as possible. We want to get the word
mindful.
out and share it to the world so that we can all end up just being self-conscious in what we're doing and more aware and getting to love one another.
Yes, from our hearts to yours, we wish you the very best of days. Bye.